Tablespace. Super stuff. A lot of them very, very popular in their domain. Anamika Gupta is the head of growth strategy at Tablespace, bringing over 20 years of experience in sales, marketing, business development, and people management across hospitality and real estate. Having been with Tablespace since its inception, she has been absolutely instrumental in its journey and now leads strategic growth, revenue expansion, and most importantly, brand visibility. That's a lot of stuff indeed. My next speaker over here is Jyothi Gupta, Associate Professor, Christ University, Bangalore. Wow, that was a university that I actually wanted to get into my graduation, but I don't think I really qualified over there. Yeah. Maybe for my PhD, which I don't really deserve to do, but jokes apart, Jyothi has over 19 years of work experience in AC industry and has 1 patent published and 3 copyright published WRT IPR cell. Jyothi was part of international client and market development as sales intelligence analyst at Compass Group, London, UK, and she's presented more than 24 papers, both in national and international forums on smart cities and spatial networks. Prior to UCL, Jyothi has worked with L&T Construction, Synergy, NCBS, and Cognizant. Basically, to put it all in one word, or maybe in one line, everything that I can't do, you excel in that, right? Super stuff. That's Jyothi Gupta for you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. My next speaker over here, Riya Singh, MCR, leading Workspaces, India, booking holdings. You know, I love this camaraderie between the panel already. Like, they're all cheering for each other. I can't wait to see what's happening over here on stage. Love it. You know, Riya Singh, as we all know, is a purpose-driven corporate real estate leader with 12 years of diverse experience in facilities management and workplace experience. Her mission is to craft office experiences that elevate employee well-being while advancing environmental stewardship. Now, that's an interesting combination. Give it up for Riya, please, everybody. Thank you. My next speaker over here is Shaju Nanukuttan, Design Director Associate Gensler. Yes, all the whistles can come in and blow in. Shaju, with a diverse work experience spanning 20 plus years in the industry, has worked on projects across the UK, Middle East, Singapore, China, and India. He has worked with practices like Zaha Hadid Architects, London, and DP Architects, Singapore. He has worked on a range of projects, a few notables like KAP SARC. It's called KAP SARC? CAPSARC? Okay, thank you. Not the most knowledgeable around, so pardon me for that. It's a research complex, ladies and gentlemen, in Riyadh with ZHA 5 million square feet mixed-use World Trade Center in Kolkata, my hometown. Give it up for Shaju, please, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. And my next speaker over here is Suzanne Matthew, HR Leader, India, R&D International, LinkedIn. So basically all the confusion around LinkedIn, how you want to enhance and boost your profile, please get in touch with us separately. You can get yourself hired in many interesting ways. Jokes apart, a people-oriented HR leader, ladies and gentlemen, with strong leadership, business acumen, and interpersonal skills. Suzanne helps in driving organizational and talent strategies. She has extensive experience partnering with executive teams to analyze, determine, and implement HR solutions focused on achieving business results. She has the strong ability to strategically partner with and influence executives to work effectively at all levels. Wow, I have said it all, but then I think the ones who deserve to say a lot more are here. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen, for all our panelists, as I request them to please join me over here on stage. A warm welcome to all of you. Swagat hai aap sabka. And I'll request all of you to please kindly take your seats as per the photo order, because like I mentioned, this is the world of social media. Aesthetics very, very important. Aap log please इस ऑर्डर में बैठ जाइए kindly. Thank you so much. Warm welcome to all of you. Very, very glad to have all of you. Thank you. My pleasure. And do we have the mics for all of them? Yes, we do. Thank you. And over to a moderator. You know, I keep talking. I do that for a living, so I'll pass it over to you so that you take it forward. Can we update the timer quickly for our speakers? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was quite an introduction. We didn't know so much about ourselves. All right, so first of all, I want to start by wishing you all a very happy International Men's Day. And Shaju, thank you for representing. Yeah, and I also want to clear the question on top of your head. Yes, I'm wearing a hat because I want to express myself. I come on panels and I'm always very careful about the way I look, but I said, no, I'm just going to do this because I love hats. All right, I've also been a part of a lot of campus designs And I want to just kind of jump a little bit into this because it's very important to understand, like, everyone that you have here is like going to go through how we design for the future. We have an educator. We have somebody from Tablespace, Anamika. Then we have Ria, Booking.com. She's a real estate director. Shaju, Gensler, so much work done. I didn't know half of what he explained about you. Susan, LinkedIn, HR, so much that she can also contribute to this panel. I would like to try and keep it a little conversational because I think it's important that we bring out a lot of real life experiences, really, so that you can take away from this. And also, I want to keep it a little open for the audience to ask your questions. Whenever you want, put your hands up, or whenever you feel like you want to ask. I might just say, okay, fine, over to you, right? I've been a part of a lot of campus planning, really 3 decades in the business. And for me, the most successful has been the ones that I had a lot of really in-depth conversations with stakeholders on, because their feelings and their voices and what they wanted to see in the campus was heard, and they owned it. At the end of the day, I'm telling you, even like 30 years, or let's say 15, 20 years later, I have conversations with them, and the first thing they say is, man, that exercise, that was just amazing, right? So how do you bring out that kind of feeling in the way we design campuses and the way we kind of hear a lot of young minds out? We will try and ask a few questions. Right now, I want to start with everybody here, okay? So the first thing I want to ask you guys really is, and this is for all of you, so we can start from you, Jyothi, is, when you think of trust and safety, right? What's the first emotional memory from your student life or early career, or today, that rises to the surface, and why that moment? I want to start with that because I think it's a good way to start this conversation, and then we can run into the others.
Thank you for the question. And thanks, Reality Plus, Sapna, and the whole team to make this happen. So the question, absolutely, it is more on the trust and safety. As an architect, we have eminent architects with us, like B.V. Doshi, Charles Correa, or whether I mention Laurie Baker. They have designed buildings with trust. They have designed buildings with safety. And when we design buildings in such a way, we need to ensure how the people are living for it. We are designing for people. So considering the design of a campus design, it needs to be more nature friendly, more biophilic, and we need to also ensure how the connectivity between the nature and the built environment is.
Is that your memory?
I would say my memory was way beyond, because I have actually graduated from UK, wherein the environment was like, I was mostly on my books in the library, huge, beautiful libraries, I would say. I have experience, and the environment was so silent to do research. Yeah. Trust me, what I experienced in India, though I graduated from BMS, we were in the city of, heart of the city, BMS College, and you know where the stress comes. And when in UK, that also was in the heart of city, King's Cross. The environment of UCL was amazing, especially for academic students, academic professors, whoever is part of campus. So I would say yes, safety, trust, and I would say biophilia, the environment plays a major role.
So I'm going to go over to you, Anamika. So, it's more on if you can touch upon a memory.
Thank you. So today, while I represent Tablespace,
I think you hold closer.
Today, while I represent Tablespace, we are in the business of building the best world-class offices for our large multinational clients. However, the memory I want to talk about is, as I was starting my career, now that's about 2 decades ago, was to be in a space where I was not judged. Even if I made a mistake, people would listen to me, my bosses would listen to me, hear me out, understand mistakes happen, but not be judged. I think trust and the ability to feel safe in the space you are in, you've tried your best. Sometimes, most of the times, you cross the line and you deliver. At some points, you may fall short, but you should feel safe that you tried your best and you're being appreciated for it. For me, that is trust.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's a great start. And Ria, over to you.
I echo with Anamika's point, right? Like, you want to walk into a space that makes you feel secure. You want to feel relaxed. You don't want to feel judged. I think even at our company, we ensure that we create that kind of an environment. And yeah, for me, that would be a place for trust and safety.
Okay, Shaju.
All right, thank you. I love this theme basically because I'm so used to talking about technology, merit, construction, all the hard
Square
stuff, right?
footage,
Yeah, square
efficiency.
footage, efficiency. So I love this part because it's touching the soft aspect of architecture and which is rarely spoken about. And so I'm really looking forward to this panel and engaging over here. But when you talk about emotional and experience together, and if you ask me about a memory, I think I'll go back to my workspaces. So I've worked across many different studios. In fact, Zaha's studio was located within the girls' school. You know, it's a very funny incident, but they found that space and they were located within that. But the best workspace I found was CNT office, Chandravarkar and Thakur, right? It was a very, very idyllic space. It was located in it's behind Mount Carmel College near Palace Grounds. And the moment you enter the space, right, you can see there is a nice landscape pathway and you have varied scale of spaces. As you enter into the studio, the whole space has varying height with a sloped roof, clear story lighting and large format windows looking out to the greens. And those are like 100 years old, by the way, that landscape. The house is owned by the family and it's 100 years old and the landscape is preserved like that. And you have an amphitheater out there. So the kind of work that goes on here, it is always inspiring, you know. It is always sort of bringing the best out of you. And it's a space where you can be yourself. Nobody is watching you. You could be reading a whole book through the day. You could be doing a detail through the day, or you could be sitting and talking to your colleagues. Nobody is questioning you, watching you. And I think that probably is where you can find the safety.
So
in a
what
workspace.
happened to that, right?
Exactly.
We're missing it somewhere. Do you feel that?
We are trying to build it, we're trying to bring in, but you know, again, it's driven by efficiency and metrics. So the chance becomes very rare that you can actually build into these kind of unprogrammed spaces, you know. It's a hard thing, but every day we are trying that. It's a pursuit, if you ask me.
Susan, please help.
I'm so different from the audience and the panel here. I'm more closer to a policeman than anybody else can be. HR has been known for that. But my earliest memory of a building is fear. And I can go back to college or school because squeaky floors, long corridors, silent, teachers walking clickety-clack of their heels and everything else that goes with it. It's the most intimidating setup. And the buildings also carry that intimidation because people carry that personality in that space. But today, looking back, I mean, I don't want to disclose my age, how many years ago that was, but if you look now to the workplace, if I walk into LinkedIn, the first thing I see is a massive coffee bar and the smell of fresh coffee and people chatting and walking in, and it's so refreshing because you see youth, you see candor, you see fun, and you see smiles. And if I was a new employee joining that organization, the first thing that strikes me is, this is so cool. You know, that's the language they speak. This is so cool and this is so chill. Of course, when you get into work, we'll show you the chillness. But the fact of the matter is, at least the first impression is a sense of relaxation and a feeling of calm. You know, and then comes the rest of it in terms of experience and safety and trust. But I think first
Belonging
impressions
as well.
is about feeling included, belonging, and I can relax in this place when I'm walking in because the culture is what we are depicting when you first walk in through that door. So that's my emotion.
No, that's
To
fantastic.
add
Yeah,
to
sure.
this, you know, and Fancy, this is quite alarming that I was just reading the other day and there's this survey by Colliers. Only 48% of the companies in APAC focus on workplace design, workplace experience. And I think it's our responsibility to kind of change that. So yeah, why not do that?
No, because it comes to mind, I'll just add and then I'll go to you, Anamika, is that, you know, I don't know how many of y'all have seen this little video of, it was doing the rounds a lot. A little kid going to school with his father, jumping, happy, and then he sees a playground and then he jumps on it and he's really happy. But his father is like, you know, slowly over the years, just like taking the whip out and saying, no, you need to go to school. So he takes him. And then the next few minutes of that video is him just like drooping and losing that emotion and expression. And that comes to me when, you know, you're all talking about this to some extent. Where has it gone? It's got to be there somewhere and we need to find it. Is that correct? Anamika, you wanted to add?
Yes, I just want to add a contrary point of view. I think offices being boring or offices not inculcating the trust and all the other emotions that we are speaking was kind of true till pre-COVID. But after COVID, office designs have turned on their head companies have realized a regular functional office will no longer do. Employees need much more than a workstation and a table. Work is what they come for, but now you need to also tell them what else they will get besides the place they're supposed to sit and work and be productive, right? So do they have social spaces? Is there a cafeteria? Do you have a wellness room? If you're stressed out, do you have a place to sit and take a power nap for 20 minutes and come back refreshed? So offices are no longer offices anymore in terms of design. They have to be much, much more. And I think partners like yourself and Gensler are all helping even companies like Tablespace create that for our 400 plus clients.
So it's good that you fall inside that 40%.
I mean,
I think they do. I can, I can vouch for these companies because we worked very closely with them.
So I'll add to that. I'll throw in numbers now, okay? Couldn't help it, but see, the Gensler research, which was doing experience research over this whole workplace environment, and we realized from COVID onwards, 50% of people who want to come back to office will only come back to office if you're offering more amenities, right? And the amenities are supposed to be not just provision of a space, but rather an experience of a space, which reminds them of a retreat, reminds them of a home. And that's why you will see that interiors are more representing hospitality now, and that the quality of spaces, the quality of material and finishes, it's all moving towards that, or transcending towards into more comfort environment actually. So it's by design actually.
Because a boring office is not going to get people out of their pajamas and work from home, come back to office.
Absolutely.
So offices have
Absolutely.
to change. And they
Yeah.
are. 48 is going to become 75 very soon.
Oh, good. Okay. We look forward to that. So coming to the next set, I just want to try and throw this between Sue, you and Jyothi, okay? So literally, we often talk about psychological safety as a concept, but in real life, it shows up as tiny signals. And I want to go university and, the workplace, right? Tone, boundaries, eye contact, micro gestures. I'm sure you have a lot to add there. What are the silent signals that tell you a space is genuinely safe? And I want to start with you, Sue, on that.
All right. Firstly, there's a misnomer about what psychological safety means. We all assume psychological safety means providing comfort for everybody. That's not the meaning of psychological safety. The real meaning of it is I don't operate in fear, because if I tell the truth, there is going to be repercussions. So basically, if it's a culture which has no punishment for being honest and truthful and candid and direct, that is what psychological safety is. Comfort is something that companies provide a lot. I mean, to Anamika's point, most companies today have everything, like from cafeterias to collaborative spaces to play areas for the families to come in, to bond, and coffee shops. And sometimes it looks like a resort. And I know a lot of people look and say, do people actually work here, or you're coming for a holiday? What's your productivity like?
Yeah, it was great matcha coffee.
Right? Yeah. So, you tend to kind of equate comfort to the extent of, what you see, what you experience in terms of a building. But the reality is the culture is what determines that comfort. I can have any number of experiences, any number of office facilities that is given to my employees, but at the end of the day, if I am going to penalize somebody for talking up, for giving a feedback, for being honest about giving me feedback, for answering a question without fear, if I'm going to be penalizing people for having said, this is not working out for me, or I'm unhappy, or my manager treats me very badly, or I don't have the freedom of expression, I don't like the kind of work I'm doing, but as a leader, I'm suppressing that emotion, but instead telling you what to do, no matter what facilities you provide, it's not going to build that culture.
Absolutely.
So it has to be a community of people. It's designers, it's workplace enablers, it's leaders, it's HR, who come together to see, one, from a building perspective, what you have to offer, because to what Shaju's point is, amenities. I'm coming from a hard traffic, 2.5 hours on the road, and if I'm coming into the office, and all I'm getting is a lousy boss who'll ask me why I'm late by looking at his watch, subtle signs, just look at your watch, right? And then I say, I go to pick up a coffee, and they look at the watch when you come back after coffee, which means that, again, I'm being watched. All of those cultures are old school, and it's not going to work. And that's why we say, why are Gen Z acting the way they do? Why are they objecting to things like this? Because a punitive mechanism is not going to work in an environment. So I think it's a combination. When you say psychological safety is removing fear, it's removing judgment, it's removing bias, but at the same time giving an inclusive atmosphere, both from a cultural context, from an engagement context, and from a building context is what will make it successful.
How do you start that with education, right? Jyothi, to jump into what Susan is saying. Very valid points, and we had a long conversation around Gen Z, and everybody seems to be, Gen Z, what is Gen Z about? But you know, they are just another generation that we need to learn how to work with. Very nice, very independent, innovative lot. And I think you see a lot of that, if you can just kind of jump into this.
Yes, thank you. What I would mention here is, gone are the days wherein we used to sit in the classroom, sit near the digital board or a chalk and paper presentation. Now the days are, we collaborate, we do peer learning, we do a class under a tree. We make it more nature friendly, we make it more texture oriented, we feel the space. Why? Because we connect with people. We think what they actually understand. So it's not that as per the design, why did I mention about the great architects? The architects did design them, but people like us went unnoticed. And now when the pressure is on safety, it's on trust, it's on psychology, now we are re-wandering in spaces and we are thinking, we need to actually understand people. We need to get into the psychological path and see how the learning is being taught in a different way.
Not just build glass boxes and flat floors.
Exactly,
And
because
yeah.
what happens is it will go above the ceiling. Trust me, it needs to go inside what we are actually going
Design in and out first,
Yes.
in to out. And
And-
that's a message, I think it's a huge takeaway for this audience. You have to design in to out. However, even if it's a commercial space, trust me, you may not know the user, but you know the user. There is a lot of research out there. Design it in to out.
So with that example, I would say campuses around Bangalore, whether I talk about IIM Bangalore, whether I talk about Ahmedabad project, IIM again, whether I talk about the new campus that's launched in Tirupati, IIT. Those spaces, if you see the locality, if you see the neighborhood planning, and if you see the campus and actually with what essence it's built, you would prefer to go to places which has more connected there instead of sitting in a traffic oriented, what Sue was mentioning, they take 3 hours to travel, the last mile connectivity. I think that's more important, the place you stay and the place you go for work or study. What time are you spending? Because that is more stressful than actually being in the workplace from 9 to 6 or to the college hours 9 to 4. So that will be my take.
Okay, great. Okay. So now I'm just going to go a bit into what we say. Like, people decide how they feel about a place within the first 30 seconds. You know, you walk into a hotel and they had it right from day one. You just smell the fragrance of flowers, you smell the coffee, and then there's so much life in there. There's music playing. Why don't we play music, right? Some of these, like, very basic things. So to you, Ria and Shaju, what are the arrival cues you consciously shape so someone entering the space feels, I can be myself here?
I think it's the little things that matter. And I don't speak as a workplace leader, I speak as an employee. Just imagine walking into an office with an amazing, beautiful smile by the reception team. Those beautiful collapsed spaces, broad roads, and thank you, Gensler, for designing that for us. I think it's those little things that really, really matter. And I feel at home. I think it's not just a second home, it should be your home. So that's the answer for me.
Yeah, perfect. Because I think we tend to think too much about what's the ROI on putting some fragrance in an AC. So what? It's a small little spend, but makes such a huge difference, right? There are so many small little things. Like, I still love the bubble matcha coffee that I got in LinkedIn. It was great. So I remember it.
I'm quite inspired, and I am going to be having a barista like LinkedIn and have matcha.
Shaju.
All right, I'll refer to what Susan was mentioning earlier about that arrival experience, right, in an office space or anywhere, and what you mentioned about the hospitality, right? And I think it's actually that exact thing what makes the difference, right? What we understand in the emotional parlance is a decompression zone, right? You're coming from a traffic. Everybody is over here, spoken a lot about traffic. You come from a traffic, the whole urban chaos.
This is Bangalore.
Yes. And then when you come to office, like Susan mentioned again, you don't want to be sort of confronted. You want to be sort of, let in, comfortably in, right? And be at ease. And that decompression zone is the 30-second. And that 30-second will tell you that, are you welcome here? Are you going to be yourself or not, And I'll just give you a quick example of one of my earlier college days. There was a RV college, and the whole campus was very green, right? But the engineering blocks and the architecture blocks was the difference was day and night, right? Engineering blocks was like a big box, and you had this one step. The moment you cross the threshold, you are in the office, the department, and hard finishes, very very rough. Everything was fluorescent light, white color, less of natural light. It was the contrast for architecture block. So architecture block was where you had this huge tree. That huge tree was, I forget the species now, but felt like it was there for hundreds of years. They had the seating outside under the tree, like a katte kind of a style. It signaled people like, you can come in here and sit down, take a break, right? And then you can move in. And as you move in, you had this canopy, which was pergola, so you could see that light and shadow pattern happening on the floor and the wall. So it was like a warm embrace, letting you into the whole meandering pathways, which is inside this block. And then you had this courtyard, the smell of the flowers, the sight of the pottery and the clay horses.
Oh God, I want to go there.
Actually. And Fancy, I feel productivity just increases. Right. It's directly proportional, to be very honest. I mean, we have this little mini herb garden in the office where I pick up a little of my curry leaves and little herb. I mean, just imagine, right? Why not create those kind of spaces? It's hardly an investment.
It's so easy.
It's just so easy. So why not just have that? And I think companies should get inspired into doing all of this, like we are inspired by our fellow companies.
Yeah, okay. All right. So you have something to add to this, Anamika? I had a...
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
for years, offices have just been regular offices.
Because you carry brand and experience and scale. And you're doing this like all over India, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So how are you ensuring emotional trust feels consistent across all of these cities? Because one to the other, it can feel a little different, but how do you ensure that,
So if we were just having one or two offices, we can do it ad hoc, people-based. But as we are scaling at a phenomenal speed, we have to build in processes in place that operationalizes the feeling of trust and emotion into our offices, right? Yeah. Therefore, you need things, we need to build rituals, we need to build standards and processes, we need to have intense amount of training so that the experience is consistent in an office in Delhi, in Bombay, in Bangalore. And you need to have a feedback mechanism loop because like everything else, it's a service-based, people-based industry. And sometimes something can fall short. I'm not saying wrong, but there can be a gap. So if there is a seamless feedback loop that tells us, hey, today this was a bit short, we can improve it.
Right.
So you have these 4 elements that helps us to scale trust, emotion, safety into all our offices. And these come in through processes like across our offices, all the entry experiences into our offices are consistent. You have acoustics, you have lighting, which is inviting. You have a receptionist that is smiling, warm, welcoming. For the longest time, an office reception was very, very cold. Right? Yeah. And today we are bringing in, like Shaju said, the hospitality angle into hotels. So suddenly your office reception is like the front office of a hotel, warm, inviting. You enter there, you feel you've come into a safe space. You own it. You see colors that you're familiar with. Right. And suddenly you start feeling comfortable. The body reacts to the entry experience before the mind processes it. Right? If the feedback mechanism is so seamless and easy and transparent and anonymous, nobody fears telling you where you fell short, right?
You
so
said it. You said anonymous. Very well said.
Right? So that's one of it. Intense amount of training because it's people-led. We don't want feedback that your Bangalore offices are better than your Chennai offices because it's Tablespace through and through. So you are experiencing Tablespace office across 7 metro cities today, across 60 plus offices. We want anybody who goes to an office A to an office 10 to have the same consistent experience of trust, of design, of collaboration, or whatever it may be. So that's how we build it, through processes, through technology, through people, and intense amount of training. I think training is very underrated.
Yes, absolutely right.
And we've seen it across large companies. As they scale, we see the gap coming in service. We've all seen it in Ola cabs. Suddenly they're not good enough, they're dirty, right? Because nobody cares. It's become so big that people are learning to adjust.
No,
But
we
for
stopped
us,
taking Olas.
yes. So I think at Tablespace, we want to be out there, improving every day, becoming the best version of ourselves while not compromising on growth and scale.
No,
And
very
keeping
well
our
said,
values
yeah.
consistent.
No, but I want to just jump from that point, right? You did say something on anonymity. And Susan's like already smiling because she knows it's coming at her. Are we going to ever get to that place in time when people can freely speak and not be anonymous? Because some of the things that people are most worried about is being judged in a space, right? So over to you, Sue, to add to what Anamika was saying.
I wish I had a crystal ball to tell you anonymity will go away. It won't. The reality is, even in our day-to-day world, you want to talk about politics, you want to talk about social media stuff, you want to talk about anything that's happening around us, religion, culture. How many of us voluntarily go and post our feelings truly on social media? You don't, because you know you're going to get, really taken up by, moral police and so on, right? So that culturally we are tuned to sitting behind a computer. Culturally we are tuned to giving a name, a pseudonym, and then writing articles. Culturally we are tuned to being very conscious about not putting up pictures where we are very radical about it. So unless conscious society and people change that mindset, anonymity will continue to be there. I'll give you an example. Back in the day, when we had a kind of feedback mechanism. Everybody, when they're anonymous, they would do live chat and say, okay, things are not working, we're unhappy with this, this is not the way to do it. And sometimes people lose professionalism when they give comments, right? So we said, okay, we're removing the word anonymity, and we're just going to, if you are making a comment, your name is going to be seen, and you'll be surprised to know that the comments just fell. People didn't want to be seen. And that's because the reason is about the culture that we are inculcating among people. If you are going to be punishing someone for having commented or speaking up, as they say, you will definitely not get people who are going to come and give you candid feedback. You're going to design workplaces based on perception, assumption, maybe probably a bit of data, a bit of anonymous feedback, a bit of voice surveys that they might talk about, but they will not come and tell you that. No matter how great an organization is, no matter what space of business, whether it's tech, it's medical, it's software industry just by itself, all of them go through this challenge. But it takes a concerted effort. We have an interesting concept when we do our employee voice survey. We have something called Speak Up. And our Speak Up scores indicate how people are actually welcoming and feeling inclusive, because I am not afraid to speak up and share my point of view is the question in the employee voice survey. So if your scores are really very good, which means you as a manager, you as a people leader, you as a business head are doing something right, because people are very comfortable in that space. So I think, I'm not going to say anonymity will go away, but it purely depends upon the business, the leader, and a social setup if you want to wipe it out, so that we don't have to face the repercussions of speaking up. That's what my
And kudos to our Gen Z for inspiring us to do that. I feel somewhere we're now talking about mental health so openly, and all thanks to them. We're talking about rags to riches. We're talking about everything that I'm speaking as a millennial, so it's not too far behind. But I think it's all thanks to them. So yeah.
I would like to add.
Does it start with education? Yes, that's what's coming to you, because ultimately, who are these people coming into the workforce and then being judgmental? Maybe we need to start young. We need to start at the education level.
Thank you. We, coming from Christ University, we are very careful about our ranking, about where we are placed. And all this comes with the feedback analysis, as you were just mentioning. We have an NIRF ranking, wherein we tabulate the number of students who are there, what states are there actually enrolled in this program, and after their education, where have they landed, what is the alumni strength, what is the total outcome of the students that's actually being overall taken care of. And when I see an overall ranking around all over the world, we are above 100, So you see where Christ University stand. Now, considering this point, we need to understand academics needs to be tabulated because each student is been going through a process of learning from the day they have joined, a scratch level to their professional level that they go through, a 5 years or a 4 years, a degree course or an engineering course. And as they were saying, we have students who will be joining Alpha. We are talking about Gen Z because the corporate is going through Gen Z.
Sorry, Alpha is which year again? So
The
I've
one
lost
coming, I think
track.
alpha, beta, and it's just.
So they are in pipeline. So we ourselves are modernizing our education system. It's like, as I mentioned, we are more connected to the nature. We are talking more on sustainability because now, if you're all aware about COP30, you have seen the Paris Agreement. We are right now here, but when they come to our places, will they actually be seated this way? Will they be breathing the AQI, what we are breathing? And what is the level of education system that they are going through and what we have gone through? We didn't had ages of iPad connectivity, but now, as I mentioned about Alpha, I'm talking on Alpha basis because I am seeing those kind of students in front of me who are way talking about BIM modeling in second or third semester of building construction. And we spoke in our master's graduation and the research is overall spread. So you see the transition. And this transition needs to be incorporated in the corporate world because they are actually, this is what's going to happen in the future. The alumni, people where they are working, what is the next step? Why will they join Christ if they don't see the outcome process who is going to be built as a student, as a profession that they'll be joining?
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. So I'm a little conscious for time, but I want to come to each of you because I also want to kind of open the floor out. I have one gesture, one ritual, one cue to all of you. We can start from this side with Sue. If you had to express trust through one single element, a gesture, a design move, a ritual, or a sensory cue, what would it be?
I think I hope we have a situation where feedback is not just a namesake providing activity. I hope that becomes a regimen. It's just like standing up and doing, washing your face or combing your hair, just an activity which naturally comes. Where feedback, people are candid, they can share feedback, there's no judgment. I wish we come to a stage when it's very natural rather than forced, because for me, feedback today is extremely, either it is too loose where you can't take action, or it's too strategic where it's high stakes and the person don't want to do. But if you really want to develop somebody, if you want to build a culture, if you want to build an organization, I think you have to be open to feedback. And we have to be open to receiving feedback and giving feedback as well. So for me, the ritual is on how can we make feedback more acceptable and easily accepted by people in the organization. So that's the ritual that I like to strengthen on.
Great, thanks. Shaju?
Well, I can talk about spatial cues or gestures, but I think nothing brings in trust more than ritual, right? Because it allows you to follow through it on a daily basis or at least weekly basis. And I would like to talk about one of the rituals that we have in our office that's like a high table we have in our studio. And that's a space where we all congregate. We talk about ideas. We talk about projects, concepts, sometimes even gossip, right? So the idea is that everyone from junior to senior, even interns are open and they can bring in an idea. Nobody is ridiculed, nobody is sort of threatened over there. You are supposed to speak your mind, and every idea is appreciated and discussed and debated, right? And that's the kind of safe space that we should create for every generation, regardless of whether you're alpha, beta, or millennial, So
Fantastic, yes. Ria?
Does food count in sensory fancy?
I have no clue anymore.
I think it's definitely food for me, to be very honest with you, and it starts and ends there. And the reason being that most of our employees, look forward to it as well, right? Like, imagine being in the traffic for 2 hours and you just want to come to office and like you're waiting for that food and you're waiting for continental today, or Ria's planned butter chicken and tandoori. So I think for me,
Matcha coffee.
any day. I think matcha is something I really need to try. But I think for me, it is that. It's these kind of benefits that we give our employees. It's your food, your transport, and it all boils down to sensory and gesture for our employees.
Fantastic.
It's a benefit, and it's their right.
Yes. Anamika.
I would like to talk about the concept of having open doors, but with the freedom that each one of us can have not to walk through it. So it lets me join a group, a discussion, with no pressure that I'm called for it, somebody's demanding my presence for it. I can choose to go there or not go there. It's about not being intrusive, but yet giving you the permission to decide. So open doors give you the sense of balance between invitation and autonomous direction.
Right.
I think that's important.
Yes. Jyothi.
Okay, so I would say that where we actually lead to the next step, where we are going. So mostly we would say how the reality we are facing for the next generation. We need to think about the lesson learned. We need to get a feedback about what has actually been gone through. What are the challenges? And we need to make a methodology. I know it will be more theoretical, but it helps. Because creating a methodology and analyzing it with a comparative study will give you a total outcome of what can be the result and what can be discussed to the next step. So I feel it is more to be more, methodological way.
Understood. Yes, Professor Jyothi. Right. So now what I'd like to do really is, you've heard from the educator, you've heard from the brand strategist, and I want to call you that rather than Tablespace, because you promote the brand and you drive the growth for the company. And then you've heard from the real estate director, you've heard from the experience design director, I can call you that, Shaju, and the HR director. I want to kind of open this now because we have enough time, but I think I want it to be more engaging. If you have questions, please put your hands up, and we'd like to hear from you as well, and please throw questions to them here. I mean, you have a great set of thinkers right here. Anyone?
So hi, this is Yoginder here. So my question would be, first of all, a great session. So my question is, there is a certifying global body known as Great Place to Work. So I just wanted to ask, can it be trusted from a workplace point of view, or is it still a gimmick what I will be thinking about? So this question would be first of all to Susan, and then would be to the entire panel. Why shouldn't it be LinkedIn certified first?
Of course, it's to Susan. Go ahead.
Well, I don't want to run any company, any organization which is making an effort. One, the intent of Great Place to Work is honestly to find out if actually it's creating an environment of professionalism and if employees are really happy at that place. Now, sometimes what happens is many people don't believe it. They dilute the system because you want that organization which runs these surveys to survive. So, you tend to kind of exaggerate what is written, what is not written. Unfortunately, we don't participate in it, not because of any other thing. I think more than just getting a certificate and a poster and something that's hanging on the wall, I think that is just a temporary thing that people might pass by when they see it, which is your employees. But if they don't live it and experience the real thing, it's a pointless certification. So you can give any number of certificates. You can put it there and say, certified, this is the safest place. And then you suddenly realize, oh, I didn't think about somebody on a wheelchair. But you have a certificate which says accessibility certified. And then you talk about what a great place to work in terms of systems and processes. And then you say someone has to beg for a leave one day with the manager. What is the culture versus a statement? So we're not big on certifying and posters. You will not see it. You will see our value systems and culture there. But I think we are more about living the experience and taking it from there. So yeah, it's to each company where they want to position in the industry when they participate in the surveys, because it's also a branding effort. When you're certified, it's also branding. So it's got its positives and negatives. I'm not going to run it down, but yeah, to each his own.
And you can always cross-verify it with Glassdoor. Just putting it out there.
So people, if you want to know what it is, there's Blind, Glassdoor, and Mouthshut.com. These are places where people go and write feedback. This is anonymity. And this is where I'm saying it could be written by bots as well, but if you want to really check out on companies and places, these are the survey places. So thanks for reminding, Ria.
So yeah, one more thing, Susan, why shouldn't it be LinkedIn certified? Because everybody trusts LinkedIn right now at the moment. Why shouldn't it be like
Firstly,
that?
thank you very much. I got a great branding. I'm leaving the stage. But LinkedIn certified. LinkedIn is not certifying you because we're not checking on you. Like for example, if you put your profile on LinkedIn, I don't come to your house and check with your certificates whether you are the person who actually put that. LinkedIn is trusting every member on the platform to say that you are putting authentic information. Of course, government interventions are there. You might want an Aadhaar sign in and so on and so forth, but that's more from a check and balance from the government perspective. But LinkedIn trusts the input person, the person who puts, like they say, garbage in, garbage out, right? If you put authentic stuff, our brand gets built. And so that's what we beseech you. So we don't go and giving certificates to anyone. In fact, we don't have paid certificates even for courses, though we have something called LinkedIn Learning Solutions. We provide a lot of short courses for people to study. Even if it's LinkedIn certified, whether you get the job is on your competence is not on that certificate, let me tell you that. So we don't do certifications consciously because we want members to experience what it is to be branding yourself. But we give you tips and tools on how you can write your profile, how you can write your resume on it, what kind of jobs that you can seek, what kind of conversations can you have. And I must say sometimes I am also disappointed in the kind of conversations people put up there. You know, I went on a picnic, I went on a party, and then somebody sees a movie and then you have some leadership lessons. You must have seen all those memes, right? So it's a reality. We don't certify, neither does it mean that we vouch for everything that is there. However, we encourage people to write the truth, write your experiences, write what you've learned from your professional world, because at the end of the day, it's a professional website, to be very honest, not just a casual social platform. So, yeah. So we don't do certification. Sorry about that.
Thank you for the question. Thank you for the answer.
Hi, my question to Anamika. The focus is more on the workspace design and the operational safety today. A little extended version of what we are discussing. In India, with the DPDP Act emphasizing responsible data collection inside workplace, from access control to visitor management, how is Tablespace designing managed office spaces to ensure safety without compromising employee privacy?
Thank you. So at Tablespace, the whole designing is done vis-a-vis common spaces and dedicated enterprise offices. We work on the concept of, we monitor the common spaces through CCTV, through access control, but everything that happens inside the office is with the enterprise. So you're running your own office seamlessly. It's just coincidental that Tablespace has designed it, built it, and you work within our center. But what happens inside your office is entirely dependent on you. Our offices are GDPR compliant. We would give regular update to you once a month as agreed in the SLAs. But what happens inside your office in terms of safety, in terms of all the other aspects that you said, is on each enterprise themselves. Right. How much they want to monitor, how much they want to guide, how much they want to know of what your employees are doing. So CCTV cameras over workstations is not something Tablespace does. If some of the companies are okay and they want to know it, then they would request it in addition from us, and then we will provide it. But as a standard design, we do not. We only monitor the common areas.
Sure. Are you also making progress towards the DPDP Act, which is spoken in India as on today?
You know, we are always innovating and adopting the next technology and the next set of compliance that comes into the country. So the answer is yes.
So I have a question. So while we try to mitigate fear in the workplace, I do find that it has a small role to play, like fear and a bit of stress helps you meet your deadline, helps you get the desired output. And it's almost like how you cram for exams. It's that fear of not being prepared and you're just cramming and you're getting down to it. So how do you bridge this, that right amount of fear and stress to ensure you get the right focus and output in your design? Anyone can please take it up who can answer.
Okay, that's a very tricky question actually. But let me just translate that. The stress, what you're talking about, is probably more like alertness, right? And that's when the stress is positive. If it becomes trauma, that's something we want to avoid completely. And probably most of the time, it's that trauma that people carry and then they become afflicted with it, right? And whether it's architecture or interior, we try to avoid that kind of stressful scenarios being created. So yes, we want to have a visual connection. Yes, we want to have still that privacy that you would require for maybe a certain call, maybe certain kind of a movement that you want to be being in your individual movement at that point of time. So at every instance, we try to balance it out through these kind of various purpose spaces actually.
Anyone else?
I would like to add, when we talk about design, we talk about trust, we talk about how one is feeling the space. And when we talk about feelings, we need to see how the person is actually comfortable in that particular place. Like when people were saying that our second home is our office. Why do we say that? Because maximum of 12 hours we spend there, though traffic is a big another topic of panel discussion. But I would say that a comfort needs to be created with our own understanding between the spaces around us. We need to have that much of ample of space wherein you can feel the light, whether I talk about the texture, I talk about the materials that we look into, we talk about the acoustics, we talk about the noise, because noise is the main thing that we all suddenly have a clash on. So all this is actually important for a human to go. It's all psychological part. And as an architect, psychology plays a major role because we are designing for humans. We need to know their understanding. We need to know what they feel good about so that the building where they are going to stay for about 100 or 70 years, it's more comfortable for that place to be explored.
Thank you for the question. Thank you for the answers. We can take one last question for this session. Ma'am, you can ask.
Hi. Hi, I'm Sangeeta. I'm just standing so you know where the sound is coming from. So I run manufacturing units. So it's a very cut and dried kind of a system. You know, people come in, work, they go back home. And, so when through Wyatt, we've gone to office spaces. And I keep wondering, if it is so comfortable in the office, why would people go back home? They wouldn't go out and socialize, so that is something that always struck me, when I go into offices, because you have what is that thing called foosball, and you have all those things. So isn't there, my question is, isn't there some kind of divide that has to be done between a workplace saying, okay, I finished working and now I'm going home to do social stuff, mix with, meet friends, be with family, and those kind of things. Because I'm not at all a corporate person, so this is something that struck me. So I have this question for you all.
Who wants to go?
Yeah, I'll start with it. Yeah. Okay. So I'll start because I've been also dealing with this kind of a situation. A lot of times, what happens is actually it changed a lot from post-COVID. Right? That's when work from home started. And that work from home has translated and is now changing the work environments, right? We are now furnishing the environment with more home-like amenities, right? And yes, probably the generation what we came from, millennials and the boomers, I think we did not have that difference of like going back home, was never a priority as such. But the generation now that we're designing for is a very different generation. They see a balance of life. They see that their purpose is not to sit and work only there. They see that the purpose is outside as well. Whether it's going out with friends, whether it's going out for a comedy show or a music concert, they see that there is a purpose out there and they pursue it. And their hobbies are there. They are very serious about it. They are serious about their causes, whether social, political, or environmental, So I think when we are designing these spaces, it's only to say that when you're coming here, you are comfortable, you are able to work in your own comfort space, and you are able to focus, you are able to find that sensorial connect that you need from that kind of a space. So that is where I see it from. Open for discussion.
I think from somebody who creates workspaces for different industries, and manufacturing being one of them, but just to answer your question on a broad level is, employees, when they come into this space, yes, they're going to work, yes, they're going to have work conversations with colleagues, but they're also going to collaborate and have informal discussions. So the offices will give you different kind of spaces, workspaces, social spaces, spaces to pause and reflect, spaces to repair yourself. You just want to have a nap, you've worked all night on a project, you just want to go and refresh yourself. And yet all the conversations are going to be with one kind of people, which are your colleagues, which are your work colleagues. Yes, they could be friends, but they are work friends. And when you say, why would people want to go out and socialize in a restaurant when everything of that is in part available in an office setup, you will not meet your closest childhood friend in your office. You need to go out to a restaurant and catch up on coffee with her or him, right? So spaces in offices are enabling you to have different kind of conversations which are innately work related, but you can have different kinds of conversations within that larger envelope. I hope that answers your question.
I will just add a small thing. There is a case study. There's an Apple that has launched the manufacturing sector in Bangalore. It's a huge manufacturing setup, and if you have really seen the office space design, you should actually go through. I know I'm sitting with the team, but it's not a table space. It is more like you are working on a sofa and you just have a laptop because you all do coding. They are different kind of culture. Google also, that's recently opened in Bangalore, have a different kind of setup. So I would say each institution or each organization have a different concept of developing their employees in such a way that they feel, okay, they are working, or they can relax and they can keep working. So again, it's a debatable topic.
Isn't that a question of ownership at the end of it? I mean, that's what I want. When you keep talking about it, when you're designing workspaces, make sure you trust your employees to deliver. Give them a timeline. You don't have to keep monitoring where they are, what they're doing. So there is a timeline that's given and they need to stick to it. And also a bigger, larger message I'll round up. But honestly, I think if we have to take this expression, emotion, experience forward, right? We really need to be listening to who the users are of the space. And you've heard from the different very, very expert panel out here. You've heard a lot of inputs today. It's not about building glass boxes, it's about understanding what kind of users are there in this world today. I mean, you can start with Bangalore and the way the culture of Bangalore works. So it's so important to understand that before you move with anything. At the end of the day, it's not like budget, square footage, all that we spoke about, Shaju. It's about the fact that we understand and then design for trust, all right? So I'll round up there, but I've got one thing that I have to just round up on, Trust is not a feature, it's a feeling. You can't enforce it, you can only invite it. So design sets the emotional temperature, culture keeps it alive, but people ignite it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think the fire has ignited in the room with that conversation. I actually love that question about, I think the balance. I think it's all fine until unless it's not the other way around where I think employees are spending most of the time sleeping and chilling and less of work. Until unless it's not completely the other way around, it's completely fine. But give the entire panel a big round of applause, please. They deserve all of that thoroughly for keeping us entertained throughout. I'll request all of you to please wait over here. What I'm going to and give the token of appreciation to our esteemed speakers over here. Gargiji is over here. I think she's coming from this side. Yeah, have a big round of applause for each and every token of appreciation being given away. Thank you. Thank you so much. Very kind of all of you over here in Bengaluru. I think the panel was all about expression, emotion, experience, everything put together.
And also
Yeah, women, yeah. With a great International Men's Day representation over there as well. Huh? Love it. But I think all the knowledge and insights was like superb, but I think what stood out was the camaraderie, the mutual respect they have for each other, right? When I was doing the introductions, I could see all of them literally cheering for each other, absolutely no insecurities. You grow together as a community, that's the belief that you all stand by, right? So a big round of applause for just that fact, yes. Yes, now we need to do the group photograph so much. And talking about smiling bright.